The dense jungle stretched endlessly beneath the gray morning mist. Dr. Sarah Chen wiped sweat from her forehead as she checked her compass again. She had been walking for 3 days, following strange energy readings that her research team's satellites had picked up in this remote corner of the Amazon rainforest. The readings suggested something impossible, technology that shouldn't exist in this untouched wilderness. As the team's lead scientist, Sarah had volunteered to investigate personally. Now, as she pushed through another thick patch of leaves, she was starting to question that decision. Her equipment beeped louder. Whatever was causing the strange energy signature, she was getting closer. The morning sun barely reached through the thick canopy above, casting everything in a green-tinted twilight. Birds called in the distance, and something rustled in the undergrowth nearby. Sarah froze. That sound was too big to be a bird or small animal. She held her breath, listening carefully. The rustling came again, followed by a soft humming sound she had never heard before. Not quite mechanical, but definitely not natural. She crouched behind a large tree, her heart pounding. The humming grew louder. Through the leaves, she caught glimpses of a soft blue light. It pulsed gently, like a heartbeat, illuminating the mist in rhythmic waves. "This is impossible," she whispered to herself, double-checking her readings. The energy levels were off the charts now. Whatever was causing this had to be right on the other side of those bushes. Taking a deep breath, Sarah pulled out her camera and carefully moved forward. The humming suddenly stopped. The jungle went completely silent. No birds, no insects, nothing. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. She parted the leaves slowly and had to clamp her hand over her mouth to stop from gasping. In a small clearing stood what could only be described as a ship, but not any ship she had ever seen in her 15 years of scientific research. It was about the size of a small house, shaped like a perfect teardrop. The surface looked like liquid metal, rippling with colors that shouldn't exist in nature. It hovered silently about 3 feet off the ground, not disturbing a single blade of grass beneath it. Sarah's hand shook as she took pictures, trying to document everything. This was it, proof of advanced technology, possibly not from Earth. Her whole life had led to this moment. Then she saw the footprints in the mud. They looked almost human, but not quite. They were longer, with an extra toe, and they led away from the ship into the jungle. Sarah had a choice to make. The safe option would be to return to base camp and call for backup. That's what protocol demanded. But whoever, or whatever, made those footprints might be gone by then. This could be humanity's only chance at first contact. She checked her satellite phone. No signal, of course. She was on her own. Following basic safety protocols, Sarah left a marker by the ship with her GPS coordinates. Then, gathering her courage, she began following the strange footprints. They led deeper into the jungle, away from any known trails. The footprints were fresh. Whatever made them couldn't be far ahead. Sarah moved as quietly as she could, keeping her camera ready. The jungle seemed different here. The plants looked wrong somehow. Some had colors she had never seen before in nature. After about 10 minutes of careful tracking, she heard it. Water running. A stream or river must be nearby. The footprints led straight toward the sound. Sarah's scientific mind raced with possibilities. If these were truly alien visitors, why would they land here? What were they looking for in the Amazon? And why travel alone on foot? The sound of water grew louder. Through the trees, she could see sunlight reflecting off moving water. The footprints led right to the edge of what looked like a small river. Sarah's hands tightened on her camera. This was the moment. Whatever made those footprints had to be just ahead. Years of scientific training hadn't prepared her for this. She was about to either make the discovery of the century or get herself into serious trouble. She took one last deep breath and stepped forward through the leaves toward the river. The sight that greeted her made her freeze in place, her camera slipping from suddenly numb fingers. Standing at the river's edge was a figure. It looked almost human at first glance, but the similarities ended quickly. The skin had a faint bluish tint that shifted like the surface of the ship. It stood at least 7 feet tall, with proportions that seemed both familiar and alien at the same time. The figure turned suddenly, aware of Sarah's presence. Their eyes met across the clearing, human brown eyes meeting ones that shimmered like opals. Neither moved, neither spoke. The jungle held its breath around them as two different worlds faced each other for the first time. Sarah knew in that moment that nothing would ever be the same again. Time seemed to stop as Sarah stared at the alien being. Her scientific mind raced to catalog every detail. The way its skin rippled like liquid metal, the strange markings that seemed to pulse with inner light, the graceful way it moved despite its enormous height. The alien raised its hands slowly, showing they were empty. 6 fingers on each hand, Sarah noted automatically. The gesture was unmistakably peaceful, almost human in its meaning. The being's face showed no aggression, only what seemed like curiosity. Sarah slowly raised her own hands to mirror the gesture. Her heart pounded so hard she was sure the alien could hear it. She took a careful step forward, and to her amazement, the alien did the same. Then it spoke. The sound was like nothing Sarah had ever heard before. Musical tones layered with subtle harmonics that made her skin tingle. But underneath the alien qualities, there was a pattern that reminded her of human speech. The being touched its throat and a small device there lit up. When it spoke again, the sounds were translated into heavily accented but understandable English. "You are not afraid," it said. Not a question, but an observation. Sarah swallowed hard. "I'm a scientist," she managed to say. "I spent my life hoping to meet someone like you." The alien's opalescent eyes studied her with obvious intelligence. "A seeker of knowledge," it said. "As am I. This makes us similar." Sarah noticed that the alien's translator seemed to pause before choosing certain words, as if carefully selecting the closest match from its database. The implications were staggering. They had been studying Earth languages long enough to create translation technology. "Why are you here?" Sarah asked, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. "Why the Amazon?" The alien gestured at the jungle around them. "This place, it reminds us of home." Before the changes came, a note of sadness entered its melodic voice. "We search for solutions in your world's biodiversity." "Solutions? To what problem?" The alien's skin rippled with darker colors, like storm clouds across a metallic sky. "Our world is dying. A biological weapon, created in a war long ago, has mutated. It consumes all plant life now. We seek new genetic materials to create resistance." Sarah's mind reeled at the implications. An alien civilization, clearly far more advanced than humanity, was studying Earth's plants to save their own world. The scientific possibilities were endless. But before she could ask another question, both her equipment and the alien's translator suddenly emitted high-pitched warnings. The alien's head snapped up, its eyes scanning the sky. "More come," it said urgently. "Not like me. Not seekers of knowledge." They'd follow, hoping to find weapons, not cures. Sarah's blood ran cold. Hostile aliens. Here. The being's skin pulsed with rapid patterns of light. "You must go. Now. They cannot find you here. Your world is not ready for their kind." "But I have so many questions," Sarah protested. "I can help you. My team has extensive knowledge of Earth's plant life." The alien seemed to consider this for a moment. Then it reached into a hidden pocket in its strange clothing and pulled out what looked like a small crystal. It handed it to Sarah. "Data," it explained quickly. "About our world, our problem. Study it. Perhaps your people can help. But now you must run." A deep rumbling sound filled the air, like distant thunder but wrong somehow. The alien's skin flashed with urgent patterns. "They come in warships, not research vessels like mine. Go. I will lead them away from this place." Sarah clutched the crystal. "Will I see you again?" "If your world survives what is coming, yes." The alien's eyes locked with hers. Trust no others of my kind who come after this day. The next ships will not bring seekers of knowledge. The rumbling grew louder. Sarah could see the alien ship powering up through the trees, its surface now crackling with energy. Run, the alien said one last time. Keep the crystal safe. Your world's future may depend on it. Sarah turned and ran, clutching the crystal to her chest. Behind her, she heard the alien ship lifting off. The jungle around her began to shake as something massive passed overhead, something much bigger than the teardrop-shaped research vessel. As she ran, her mind struggled to process everything that had just happened. She had hoped to make first contact with alien life. Instead, she had become Earth's first warning system for an incoming invasion. The crystal pulsed warmly in her hand, like a heartbeat. Whatever was on it, whatever information the alien had trusted her with, she had to get it back to her team. The fate of 2 worlds might depend on it. But first, she had to survive the next few hours, as the sky above her filled with ships that definitely hadn't come in peace. Sarah ran through the jungle as massive shadows passed overhead, her lungs burning with each breath. The crystal the alien had given her pulsed rhythmically against her palm, seeming to grow warmer with each passing moment. Behind her, she could hear the deep, threatening hum of the warships growing louder. A blinding flash of lights suddenly lit up the jungle like daylight. Sarah dove behind a massive tree trunk just as something exploded in the distance, likely where she had first found the peaceful alien ship. The ground shook with the impact, and birds erupted from the canopy in panic. The crystal suddenly grew hot enough to make her yelp. When she looked at it, she saw its surface had changed. What had been clear before now showed swirling patterns of light, forming what looked like a map. Sarah whispered in disbelief. The crystal was projecting a 3-dimensional hologram of the surrounding jungle, with a pulsing light marking what she assumed was her current position. Another light, steady and blue, blinked about 2 miles to the east. The peaceful alien hadn't just given her data about their world, they'd given her an escape route. Another explosion rocked the jungle, closer this time. Sarah could hear trees crashing down, and something that sounded disturbingly like heavy footsteps. The hostile aliens weren't just searching from their ships, they had boots on the ground. Sarah checked her satellite phone again. Still no signal. But now she noticed something strange. The device's screen was flickering, showing random patterns of static. She remembered how the peaceful alien's translator had worked and had an idea. With trembling fingers, she touched the crystal to her phone. The screen immediately cleared, then displayed text in English. Emergency protocol activated. Safe house location marked. Caution. Hunter squads deployed. Avoid detection. Sarah's mind raced. The crystal wasn't just a data storage device. It was some kind of advanced AI system, capable of interfacing with and upgrading Earth technology. The peaceful alien had given her more than just information. They'd given her tools to survive. A harsh, mechanical screech cut through the air, followed by sounds that reminded Sarah of metal scraping against metal. The hunter squads were getting closer. She needed to move. Following the crystal's map, Sarah began making her way east, trying to stay as quiet as possible. The jungle floor was wet from recent rain, helping to muffle her footsteps. Above, the warships continued to pass back and forth, scanning the area with beams of red light that cut through the canopy. After about 20 minutes of careful movement, she heard voices ahead. Human voices. Sarah crouched behind a fallen log, her heart pounding. The crystal in her hand pulsed urgently, and her phone displayed new text. Warning. Human military forces detected. Compromised by Hunter Squad mind control. Avoid contact. Sarah felt sick. The hostile aliens were already taking control of human forces in the area. How long had they been preparing for this? How deep did their infiltration go? The voices grew closer. Through the undergrowth, Sarah could see soldiers moving in formation, but something was wrong with them. Their movements were too stiff, too mechanical. Their eyes glowed with the same red light as the scanning beams from the ships above. "Life sign detected," one of the soldiers said in a flat, emotionless voice. "Quadrant 3. Move to intercept." They were heading straight for her position. Sarah looked at the crystal's map desperately. The safe house location was still over a mile away. She'd never make it on foot with both alien hunters and controlled humans searching for her. The crystal pulsed again, and new information appeared on her phone. "Emergency transport available. Requires full neural link. Warning. Process irreversible. Accept/decline." Sarah could hear the footsteps getting closer. She had seconds to decide. The peaceful alien had told her to trust no others of their kind. But had they meant for her to trust their technology? What did irreversible mean in this context? Another explosion rocked the jungle, much closer this time. Through the trees, Sarah caught a glimpse of something massive and metallic moving through the jungle, some kind of alien walking machine. Its surface bristled with weapons she couldn't even begin to understand. The controlled soldiers were less than 50 feet away now. Her phone still showed the prompt, waiting for her answer. Whatever irreversible meant, it had to be better than capture by the hostile aliens. With shaking fingers, Sarah typed "accept" on her phone's screen. The crystal flared with brilliant light. Sarah felt a sudden, sharp pain in her palm where she held it, then a strange sensation like ice water flowing up her arm and into her brain. Her vision blurred, then sharpened to impossible clarity. The jungle around her seemed to shift, colors becoming deeper, more vibrant. She could suddenly see heat signatures, energy patterns, layers of reality she had never known existed. The crystal was changing her, upgrading her nervous system to interface with its alien technology. As the transformation completed, Sarah understood what irreversible meant. She would never be fully human again. But she also understood something else. She now had a fighting chance. The crystal had given her the tools to survive, to reach the safe house, and maybe even to help save Earth from what was coming. New information flooded her enhanced mind as the hostile forces closed in. She could see their weaknesses now, understand their technology, predict their movements. The peaceful alien hadn't just given her data about their world. They'd given her the means to become Earth's first line of defense. Sarah stood up, her newly enhanced senses mapping every enemy position around her. The crystal had become part of her now, its power flowing through her transformed nervous system. She knew she couldn't fight them all, but she didn't have to. She just had to reach the safe house. And now she knew exactly how to do it. As the controlled soldiers burst through the undergrowth, weapons raised, Sarah smiled. The real war for Earth was about to begin, and thanks to one peaceful alien's gift, humanity wouldn't be fighting it alone. Sarah's enhanced senses mapped the jungle in ways her human mind struggled to comprehend. Heat signatures bloomed like flowers in her vision, and energy patterns from the alien technology created webs of light through the air. The controlled soldiers were closing in, but now she could see the weak points in their formation. The crystal's knowledge flowed through her transformed consciousness. These weren't just mind-controlled humans. They were being used as living sensors, their nervous systems hijacked and repurposed into a vast detection network. But the control wasn't perfect. There were gaps, blind spots she could exploit. "Target located," one of the soldiers droned, his eyes glowing red. "Engaging capture protocols." Sarah's enhanced reflexes kicked in automatically. She dove forward just as they opened fire, rolling under their shots. The crystal's power guided her movements with inhuman precision. To her new senses, their bullets seemed to move in slow motion, leaving trails of heat in the air. "You're fighting it wrong," she said, her voice carrying a new harmonic quality that surprised even her. "The alien control. There's still enough human left in you to resist." One of the soldiers twitched, his red eyes flickering momentarily. The crystal fed Sarah more information. The hostile aliens' control technology worked by suppressing human consciousness, but it couldn't erase it completely. The original personalities were still there, trapped and aware. A massive shape crashed through the trees, the walking war machine she'd glimpsed earlier. Up close, it looked like a grotesque mix of insect and tank, its metal surface crawling with what looked like living circuitry. Sarah's new senses revealed its pilot. Another alien, but unlike the peaceful researcher. This one's biology was heavily modified, more machine than organic. "Surrender the crystal," the pilot's voice boomed, translated into harsh, grating English. "Its power cannot be processed by your primitive nervous system. You will burn out within hours." Sarah felt a spike of fear, but the crystal's presence in her mind remained steady, reassuring. More data flowed into her consciousness. The hostile aliens were lying. Their own attempts to interface with this technology had failed because their cybernetic modifications made them incompatible. Only an unmodified organic nervous system could handle a full integration. The war machine raised its main weapon, some kind of energy cannon. Sarah could see the power building up in its core, the air around it beginning to distort. The controlled soldiers moved to flank her, cutting off escape routes. But Sarah wasn't looking for an escape route. Her enhanced mind had already calculated a better option. She raised her hand, focusing on the energy patterns she could now see flowing through the jungle. The crystal's power surged through her transformed nervous system, and suddenly she could do more than just see the energy. She could touch it, redirect it. The war machine fired its cannon. Sarah reached out with her new senses and caught the energy blast like a physical thing, her enhanced neurons processing and channeling power that should have vaporized her. The controlled soldiers stumbled back, their red eyes flickering as their borrowed senses tried to process what they were seeing. "Impossible," the alien pilot snarled. "No primitive organic could." Sarah redirected the captured energy, not at the war machine, but at the control transmitter she could now see hidden in its upper section. The blast hit with surgical precision. Sparks flew as circuits overloaded. The effect on the controlled soldiers was immediate. They collapsed like puppets with cut strings, the red glow fading from their eyes. Their original consciousness would return soon, but they'd have no memory of their time under alien control. The war machine stumbled, its systems disrupted by the destruction of its control unit. Sarah caught glimpses of the pilot frantically working controls, trying to compensate. She took advantage of the moment and ran, her enhanced speed carrying her through the jungle faster than any normal human could move. New data flowed through her mind as she ran. The safe house location wasn't just a hiding place, it was something far more important. The peaceful alien researcher had left a backup of their ship's entire database there, including details of their own world's fall to the hostile forces, information that could help Earth prepare for what was coming. But the crystal showed her something else too, something that made her blood run cold despite her transformation. The hostile aliens hadn't just sent hunter squads to Earth. What was happening in this small section of the Amazon was only a test, a preliminary scouting mission. The main invasion fleet was already on its way. Sarah pushed herself faster, following the crystal's guidance. The safe house was close now. Its location had been carefully chosen, a natural formation in the rock face ahead that blocked most forms of alien scanning technology. Behind her, she could hear the war machine recovering, beginning its pursuit. More ships were converging on her position, their energy signatures lighting up her enhanced senses like approaching storms. But she had something they didn't: perfect integration with the crystal's technology, and the knowledge of exactly what waited in the safe house. As she ran, Sarah's mind processed the crystal's vast store of information. The peaceful aliens hadn't just been studying Earth's plants, they'd been evaluating humanity's potential. Their own civilization had been too dependent on technology when the hostile forces attacked, too modified to resist the control systems. But humans, with their primitive but adaptable nervous systems, might be able to do what they couldn't. Sarah wasn't just running to save herself anymore. She was running to recover information that could save both Earth and the peaceful aliens' world. And thanks to her transformation, she was possibly the only person on Earth who could understand and use that information. The safe house entrance was just ahead, a seemingly solid rock face, that her enhanced vision revealed to be holographically disguised. As Sarah reached it, she allowed herself a small smile. The hostile aliens thought they were hunting her. They hadn't realized yet that she was leading them into a trap. As Sarah approached the holographic rock face, her enhanced senses revealed the true complexity of the safe house's defenses. What looked like natural stone formations were actually crystalline structures, similar to the one now integrated into her nervous system, forming a massive network of alien technology hidden in plain sight. The crystal's knowledge flowed through her mind. This wasn't just a safe house. It was a command center, built by the peaceful aliens over decades of secret observation. They had known the invasion was coming and had prepared this place as humanity's last hope. Behind her, the war machine crashed through the jungle, its heavy footsteps shaking the ground. More controlled soldiers were converging on her position, and she could sense at least 3 more hostile ships circling overhead. They were falling right into position. Sarah placed her hand on the rock face. The entire crystalline network responded to her transformed biology, recognizing her as an authorized user. A doorway shimmered into existence, and she stepped through just as the war machine burst into the clearing. The inside of the safe house took her breath away. What appeared to be a small cave from outside opened into a vast chamber filled with alien technology. Holographic displays covered the walls, showing real-time data about Earth's atmosphere, weather patterns, and defensive capabilities. But it was what stood in the center of the chamber that made her enhanced heart skip a beat. A second ship, identical to the peaceful alien researchers' vessels, stood ready, and beside it, a familiar figure waited. "You survived," the peaceful alien said, its skin rippling with patterns that Sarah's new senses recognized as expressions of relief. "And you accepted the crystal's gift. You're still here." Sarah asked, surprised. "I thought you were leading them away." "That was another of my kind, another researcher who sacrificed themselves to buy time." The alien's skin darkened with what Sarah now understood was grief. "We are few now, those who resist the Empire." The ground shook as the war machine outside began its assault on the holographic barrier. The alien moved quickly to a control panel, its 6-fingered hands dancing over crystal surfaces. "The barrier will hold," it said, "long enough for what must be done. You have questions. The crystal shows me your mind is ready for answers." Sarah's enhanced consciousness processed incoming data faster than her human mind ever could. "This isn't just about saving your world's plants. This is about saving both our species." "Yes." The alien activated a large holographic display showing 2 DNA structures, one human, one alien. "Your people call it convergent evolution. Our species developed along similar paths on different worlds, close enough to be compatible with the same technology, but different enough that our weaknesses are not your weaknesses." The barrier outside flared as another attack hit it. Sarah could sense more hostile forces arriving, including something massive descending from orbit. "The Empire's control technology works by exploiting cybernetic modifications," the alien continued. "For centuries, they conquered worlds by forcing civilizations to accept their upgrades, then activating hidden protocols to enslave them. But your world is different. You have developed technology without modifying yourselves." "And the crystal?" Sarah asked, though she was beginning to understand. "An adaptation of their own technology, reversed and purified. It enhances without enslaving, strengthens without suppressing. You are the proof that it works, the first successful merger of our science with human potential." Another blast rocked the chamber. Warning signals flashed across the holographic displays. "They're bringing in a planetary siege engine," Sarah said, reading the data with her enhanced senses. "We have maybe 10 minutes before they breach the barrier." The alien moved to the ship. "Then we must act quickly. The crystal has shown you how to access its knowledge. This ship contains something far more valuable, the means to replicate it." Sarah's enhanced mind made the connection. "You want to make more crystals, create more people like me. An army of enhanced humans, immune to the Empire's control, capable of using their own technology against them. The alien's skin rippled with urgent patterns. But it must be voluntary. Each crystal requires acceptance, requires the conscious choice to change. We will not force this evolution as the Empire forces their upgrades. The chamber shook again, harder this time. Through the barrier, Sarah could sense the siege engine powering up its main weapon, a device designed to crack planetary crusts. "How many crystals can we make in 10 minutes?" she asked. "With your help, interfacing directly with the ship's systems. Enough for a small force. The rest of the production data can be transferred to your human scientists. Dr. Chen, you must understand. Once we begin, there is no stopping what will come. Your world will change forever." Sarah looked at her hands, watching the subtle play of energy under her skin. No longer fully human, but still herself. Still choosing her own path. "Our world is already changing," she said. "Let's make sure it changes on our terms." She placed her hands on the ship's control crystals. Her enhanced nervous system connected instantly with its systems, and she felt the vessel's full power flow through her. As the hostile forces gathered outside, preparing their final assault, Sarah began the process that would create humanity's first line of defense against the coming invasion. The first batch of crystals began to form in the ship's production chamber, each one pulsing with the same pure light as the one that had changed her, each one waiting for someone brave enough to accept its gift, to choose evolution over enslavement. Above them, the siege engine's weapon reached full power. They had minutes left, but minutes were all they needed. The real war for Earth was about to begin. And now, finally, humanity would have the tools to fight it. Sarah smiled as the crystals took shape. The hostile aliens thought they were launching an invasion. They didn't realize they were about to face a revolution. The siege engine's weapon reached full charge just as the last crystal formed in the production chamber. Sarah could sense its terrible power building through the barrier. Enough energy to crack continents, now focused on their small hidden fortress. "Production complete," Sarah announced, her enhanced senses confirming the quality of each crystal. "But how do we get them to the right people in time?" The peaceful alien skin rippled with what Sarah now recognized as satisfaction. "Watch," it said, activating a new set of controls. The chamber's holographic displays shifted, showing live feeds from around the world. Sarah saw military bases, scientific facilities, and even remote research stations like her own. In each location, a subtle crystalline structure pulsed with hidden energy. More safe houses, waiting to be activated. "We have been preparing for decades," the alien explained. "Choosing potential candidates, studying their responses to various scenarios. Those who showed the right combination of intelligence, adaptability, and ethical judgment. Like my encounter with you by the river," Sarah realized. That was a test. The final test. You showed curiosity over fear, sought understanding over advantage. The Empire would have found those traits useless. We found them essential. The chamber shook violently as the siege engine began its attack. The barrier flickered, its crystalline matrix struggling to absorb the massive energy assault. Through her enhanced senses, Sarah could feel the defensive systems starting to fail. "How long until distribution?" she asked, watching the crystals being loaded into the ship's transport system. 3 minutes to full network activation. The siege engine will breach our defenses in 2. Sarah's enhanced mind raced through calculations, analyzing energy patterns, structural weaknesses, tactical options. The crystal's knowledge showed her something she'd missed before. The barrier wasn't just defensive. "We don't need to hold them off," she said, moving to the control panel. "We need to let them in at exactly the right moment." The alien's skin flashed with surprise patterns. "You see it? The barrier is made of the same crystal technology. When it fails, it won't just collapse. It'll release all the energy it's absorbed. If we time it right, we can overload the siege engine at the moment of breakthrough." The alien's hands moved across the controls, synchronizing with Sarah's inputs. "But the timing must be perfect. a millisecond too early or late. Then we worked together. Sarah placed her hand on the main control crystal. Your experience, my enhanced processing speed. We might have one chance at this. The siege engine's attack intensified. Through the failing barrier, Sarah could see more hostile ships arriving, their weapons adding to the assault. The war machine had been joined by 2 others, their combined firepower making the ground shake continuously. But Sarah wasn't watching the attackers anymore. Her enhanced senses were focused on the energy patterns building in the barrier matrix, watching the crystalline structure absorb and store power that should have destroyed it instantly. The peaceful aliens' technology was incredible, not because of its destructive potential, but because of how it turned an enemy's strength against them. Transport network activated, the alien announced. Beginning crystal distribution. On the holographic displays, Sarah watched as crystals materialized in safe houses around the world. In each location, chosen candidates would find them, along with detailed instructions and warnings. The choice would be theirs: remain fully human, or accept the transformation that would let them fight back against the coming invasion. Barrier at 98% capacity, Sarah reported. Any more power, and the matrix will destabilize. The siege engine is committing more power, the alien observed. They think their victory is moments away. Sarah smiled. They don't understand your technology at all, do they? They've spent so long forcing their own upgrades on others, they'd forgotten how to recognize true advancement. The barrier's energy levels reached critical. Sarah could feel the matrix beginning to fail, crystal structures vibrating at frequencies that would soon tear them apart. But not yet. Not quite yet. Now, Sarah shouted, just as the siege engine unleashed its final, massive burst of power. The barrier didn't just fail. It exploded outward, releasing all its stored energy in a precisely calculated burst. The siege engine, committed to its attack, couldn't adjust in time. Its own weapon created a feedback loop with the released energy, amplifying the effect exponentially. The resulting explosion lit up the Amazon sky like a new sun. When Sarah's enhanced vision cleared, she saw the siege engine lying in ruins. The war machines were scattered like broken toys, and the hostile ships were retreating, their systems overwhelmed by the energy burst. But they weren't leaving Earth. Sarah could sense them regrouping, calling in reinforcements. This had only been the first battle. Crystal distribution complete, the alien reported. 97% successful delivery rate. The candidates will be finding them now. Sarah watched the holographic displays showing locations around the world. In some places, people were already discovering the crystals. Some would accept the change quickly, driven by curiosity or duty. Others would take time to decide, weighing the implications. All of them had been chosen for their potential to make the right choice for the right reasons. How long until the Empire launches their main invasion? She asked. Days, perhaps weeks. They will need time to analyze what happened here, to adjust their strategies. Time we will use to prepare. Sarah nodded, watching more hostile ships appear in orbit on the long-range scanners. The real war was still coming, but Earth wouldn't be defenseless when it arrived. Humanity would face it with new allies, new capabilities, and most importantly, with their free will intact. Then we better get to work, she said. We have a lot of new recruits to train. The alien's skin rippled with patterns of hope, an emotion Sarah realized their species shared with humans. Indeed, the Empire believes they are launching an invasion. Instead, they have sparked an evolution, one that will change not just Earth, but the galaxy itself. Outside the safe house, the jungle was starting to recover from the battle, life persisting as it always had. But now, hidden in secret places around the world, a new kind of life was beginning to emerge, one that would combine the best of humanity with the most advanced alien technology ever created. The invasion was coming. But this time, Earth would be ready. News of the battle in the Amazon spread faster than anyone could contain it. Amateur videos of the explosion lit up social media, while satellite imagery of the destroyed siege engine leaked from multiple sources. The world was about to change, ready or not. Sarah stood in the Safe House's command center, watching the global reaction unfold across multiple holographic screens. Her enhanced senses processed dozens of news feeds simultaneously, while the crystal's technology translated conversations in every major language. "They're calling it the Amazon incident," she told the peaceful alien, who was busy coordinating with other hidden bases. "Governments are scrambling to explain it. Some are claiming it was a weapons test, others a natural phenomenon." "And the chosen candidates?" the alien asked, its skin patterns showing concern. Sarah switched the displays to show secure feeds from other safe houses. 23 have already accepted the crystals. Their transformations are proceeding smoothly. Another 45 are in various stages of decision-making. The alien's skin rippled with approval. "Faster than we hoped." And the military response. Before Sarah could answer, a new alert flashed across her enhanced vision. She brought up a tactical display showing Earth's orbit. Multiple nuclear launches detected. 3 nations are targeting the hostile ships in orbit. "A predictable but futile gesture," the alien said. "The Empire's shields will." The alien stopped mid-sentence as they both watched the impossible unfold. The nuclear missiles didn't detonate against the hostile ship's shields. Instead, they simply disappeared. "No," the alien whispered, its skin going pale. "They've deployed phase shifters, technology they've never risked using in an initial invasion before." Sarah's enhanced mind quickly processed the implications. They're not following their usual conquest pattern, are they? Because of what happened here. The Empire fears the crystals we've distributed. They know that every hour that passes gives more humans the chance to transform, to become immune to their control. The aliens' hands moved rapidly over the control panels. They're accelerating their timeline. Phase shifters let them simply remove threats by shifting them into parallel spacetime. A new alert drew their attention to another screen. One of the transformed humans, a quantum physicist in Geneva, was sending urgent data. Sarah's enhanced mind processed the complex calculations instantly. "The phase shifters have a weakness," she said. "The physicist, Dr. Weber, she's already figured it out." The crystal enhancement let her see the quantum structure of the technology. "Show me." Sarah brought up Dr. Weber's analysis. The peaceful alien skin flashed with patterns of surprise and admiration. "Remarkable. In hours, she's understood technology it took our scientists years to analyze. The human mind, enhanced by the crystals. You truly do see things differently than we do." More alerts flashed as other transformed humans began sharing discoveries. A climatologist in Beijing had found a way to detect cloaked hostile ships by their effect on upper atmosphere patterns. A neural engineer in Mumbai was already developing ways to block the Empire's control signals. It's not just about the crystal's power, Sarah realized. It's about how each person uses it differently, bringing their own knowledge and perspective. The alien skin showed agreement patterns. "This is why we chose candidates from different fields, different cultures. The Empire enforces uniformity. Earth's strength lies in its diversity." A massive energy spike caught their attention. The hostile ships were moving, descending from orbit in attack formation. But something was wrong with their pattern. "They're not heading for military targets," Sarah said, analyzing their trajectory. "They're targeting the safe houses," the alien finished. "They've detected the crystal energy signatures. They mean to destroy the remaining crystals and those who haven't transformed yet." Sarah's enhanced mind raced through options. The safe houses had defenses, but nothing that could stand against a full orbital assault. Unless Dr. Weber's phase shifter analysis, she said quickly. "Could we use it to create a counter-frequency? Turn their own technology against them like we did with the siege engine?" The alien's skin rippled with excitement. "Yes, but we would need to coordinate all transformed humans simultaneously. Create a global network of—" "We already have one," Sarah interrupted, pointing to the crystalline structures that network the safe houses. We just need to repurpose it. Instead of distributing crystals, we distribute power. The alien moved swiftly to the main control crystal. If all transformed humans link their enhanced nervous systems through the network. Sarah placed her hands on the crystal alongside the aliens. We create a planetary defense grid, but we'll need everyone. Every single transformed human will have to join the link. The alien's skin showed warning patterns. The mental strain will be enormous. No one has ever attempted a crystal network of this scale. Then we better hope humanity's diversity gives us an advantage again. Sarah activated the global communication system. Because we're out of options. Around the world, transformed humans received the call. Scientists, soldiers, teachers, doctors, each chosen for their unique potential, now asked to join their minds in humanity's first unified defense. One by one, they connected to the network. Sarah felt each mind join, each bringing their unique perspective and knowledge. The crystal technology merged their consciousness while keeping their individuality intact, the exact opposite of the Empire's forced uniformity. Above, the hostile ships began their attack run. Phase shifters powered up, ready to erase Earth's defenders from reality itself. But humanity wasn't facing this threat alone. And they weren't facing it as they had been. They were facing it as what they were becoming. Together,